When you look at your, whether it's your MBA students or clients that you've worked with around the world or different research projects that you've been part of, what are, one or two of the most common mistakes that you see people making when it comes to this kind of the decision-making process?
Well, the first thing is they don't realize they're choice architects. They don't realize they're designers. So they're just doing things the way they've always been done. And that gives that's a big mistake because essentially you have a very powerful tool. You almost think of it as a superpower that you don't know you have. So you can actually do an awful lot to actually influence that choice that you're unaware of. And the important thing is just because you're unaware of it doesn't mean it doesn't have an effect.
Mm.
Okay, so that's sort of the number two thing is you're not doing okay. Every choice has its own architecture, its own design. So one of the very powerful tools, I talk about many of them, is the default. What happens if somebody doesn't make a decision?
Yes.
And people just sort of take that as a given. Let's go back to savings for just a second. One of the ways to get people to save money is just to change the default. For years in the United States, until about 1996, the default in savings was always zero. And that was the most common amount people would save. And it's not the amount they wanted to save, it just was the thing. They didn't like making the decision, so that's what happened. Now, Department of Labor allowed companies to change that default to 3%. Well, most companies went to 3%. You could set it to larger figures. And guess what became the most common amount saved? 3%. Now, that's not because 3% is the right amount. It's because that's what companies thought people would be willing to do. Now, it turns out they probably should be saving more than that. And
Right.
as a result, setting the wrong default is actually hurting their employees, not helping them as much as they could.
Yeah.